2014년 6월 20일 SM 연습생 생활을 처음으로 시작했다. 모든 것이 새롭고 낯설었지만 바로 그 꿈이라는 것을 꾸기 시작했다.
In a night or in a day, in a vision or in none, is it therefore the less gone? All that we see or seem is but a dream
within a dream.
Into boss.
같은 꿈 마치 날 부르는 익숙한 노래 마침내 연결돼 사주지 말 해를 소매 반복되는 매일도 괜찮다고 깊은 어둠 비를 걸어 저 너머에 숨겨진 진짜를 보러 여전히 이름 모르지 여기는 이름 모를 번호 몇 번만 찾아 펴지 않는 어디에서도 결국 대부분 내 시간을 보내는
Damn, that look though.
정신없이 휘둘리다 결국 누군가 지금과 지금 사이를 떠와봐 확인하게 있어
Liminal. What does that mean? Oh yes.
Keeps the dancing really moving dramatically and emotionally with the character. Not only are you trying to execute difficult classical steps, but we're also trying to tell a story.
Yes. Okay, so this is where duality comes from. And I think I watched Hit the Stage episode 4 this past weekend, and I talked about a little bit about the line that you cross on a stage, the duality. So I see the stage as it gives you permission to be somebody else, and that's what acting is, right? So when we see K-pop groups or anybody in general that goes on stage and they have this like duality concept where like they're freaking sexy on stage, but they're very like nerdy and like kind of closed off off stage. So technically that stage gave that dancer permission to be somebody, and that is empowered by choreography, music, and acting. And that person who is very cagey is quite reserved in person because there's no permission. The society limits that person to what they think they can do and to be who they are. So when they cross that stage, they become animalistic and like just free of like what they're capable of doing. So that's what the duality concept is, and that's what she's saying here. There's a sort of acting aspect because they're free to be whoever they want to be. On-stage persona, yes. Those things happen too. This music though, damn. Yeah, like what I said. the madman. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, jerky movements. Unhinged. Oh, okay. I don't think inhuman would be the word I would use, because I feel like that's disregarding people who are this way in real life, even though if it's not the norm, you know, what society's norm perceived to be. I think you know what I'm talking about. So in that case, those people, it's still a very human aspect, and it's still a very vulnerable aspect. I wouldn't call it inhuman the way he's executing this. I mean, talent-wise, yes, because he's an exceptional dancer. Yeah. Damn. Yeah. 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 I see what she's saying here. I think there is a subtle... character in this too. Obviously not as loud as somebody like this. Yeah. Oh my god, that I've seen that move on Instagram so many times and just like yeah. Uh-huh. It's a show. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's why a lot of you guys really value facial expression. Because I see comments being like, oh, you know, this person, his facial expression is so good. And that's what you guys are seeing. That's what the character is. There's character in the face and in the movements. It's not just a facial expression, it's the character of what they're portraying. Pantomime. So that's what we also call lyrical hip-hop. So lyrical hip-hop is when obviously you're movements is in accordance with the lyrics. I didn't know about the whole pantomime thing. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, lyrical hip hop. So I mean, lyrical hip hop is not, I mean, pantomime is not a genre, lyrical hip hop is, so there would be the difference there. No Manners. I haven't really heard that song. Totally. Ouch! Ah! Yeah, see, even Vernon knows how that feels like. What the fuck? Ow! Flirt with danger? Yeah, no, that could totally fucking break your knees. Oh. Okay. Oh. Homeboy's arm bent backwards. Hypermobility. This also reminds me of those like ballerinas or ballet people that when they like point their toes up and their legs up, like this part goes like this instead of just like straight.
Wait a second. I'm loose.
Ah. I'm not well versed in any of these because I don't have those, and I don't know a lot of dancers that have this kind of hypermobility. I think it's very, yeah. I think it's probably going to be more prominent in ballet and those kind of technical aspects, because you make a lot of straight lines, so you see those things. But in hip hop, where I grew up in, there's not a lot of those. There's a lot of curved movements that are forward. Yeah, that could really freaking hurt your backbone, like where it bends. Oh, she's talking about the the legs. Yeah, that's also very, yeah, no, like if it would just crack. No, it would crack. I think a lot of the reasons why he's not broken yet, to be honest, is because he's very light. He looks like a very thin person, so there's not a lot of weight to him. So if he was a heavier person and he can do a lot of these, then it would put more pressure in those areas and he would break faster. But he's not that heavy. He looks very thin and light. He's probably gonna be like, what, 120 pounds, if not 130, just because he's taller. So with that much weight on his on those joints, it's gonna be very bad long term. This is why I was like, that's why this is why I mentioned before that do choreographers not look at those things when they're choreographing these things, because, oh my god, like, who bears the responsibility at that point if someone does become injured, especially when they're touring? I get it if it's a one-off thing, if it's just like, okay, for Mama, okay, great, or for Mellon Awards, sure, like let's do it. But if it's for a tour, that's very, like, 50 states, or sometimes what, 72 places, like 100 stadiums. That's 100 times he has to do that. Yeah. Oh, wow. So I think in that sense, and especially we know how SM kind of deals with their artists, right? It's very different. There's not a lot of safety measures in place, and I've brought this up even way before I learned about them. Basically, like, went for Kick It, you know, my first reaction. when he allowed Mark to jump over him, like that knee thing, right? And to think that his foot placement was probably like similar to what Shaky Raindrop is saying here. It's probably like twisted like that. And then for Mark to jump over him, to put pressure on that knee constantly, and it's now become part of the choreography that they're doing on tour. So that's why at first, a very look at it, I said it was very risky. Quick pressure, quick, misjudgment. What if Mark suddenly, miscalculates the amount of pressure that he's putting on that knee, and then Taeyong is not secured for that amount of pressure? It could totally break his foot or his joints. That's why I brought it up right away. And I remember some of you guys are quite defensive about it, but I hope that this kind of video shows and explains how, as dancers, we're feeling that there should be caution in those kind of choreography. It doesn't matter if Taeyong allowed Mark to do it. It's this for this very reason. That's why I brought that up. Also, oh my god, these songs that she's using I've not heard of before, so I'm like spoiled. They're really good. Electrifying is the word.
We go hard now, gotta stay strong, but I feel totally burn down. Burn down, a new phase. It's a new phase coming up.
힘들었겠지만 말로는 힘들다고 해도 정작에 하면은 굉장히 열심히 하는 모습에서 리스펙트도 느꼈고
Oh, no wonder this is the title, Death of an Artist. Damn, Hachan.
그냥 너의 감정들이나 생각하는 것들이 너의 그런 감정 표현 같은 것들이 공부받는다면 좋을 점이라고 생각하고 나도 그걸 배우고 싶은데 막상 또 해보려니까 잘 안 되더라고. 수고했어.
감사한 마음 잊지 않고 더 열심히 해서 최고가 되도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
So in summary, I think that Taeyong has become a standard for SM artists, for an idol. One of the standards anyway, just because of his uniqueness and his star quality. When I first kind of just laid eyes on him, I would just assume that he's so intimidating to the point where I'm like, I'm not worthy to like look at him. And then his dancing came along and I'm just like, holy crap, how does this one person exist? It hasn't even been verbalized until I think this video, that awkward kind of unique way of his dancing, but yet brilliant at the same time. It's verbalized here. The thing is, the hypermobility is kind of concerning, right? And I'm sure so many of you guys are, it's a wake-up call, right? My thing is, one of my subscribers here brought that up to me and asked me to kind of raise awareness on this issue, because it is serious. And like what Shaky Raindrop is saying, it is serious. The hypermobility, the extension of it, and what can happen if it's not being taken care of. So if you're a dancer, or you're trying to be a dancer, or if you are a professional dancer, even as an athlete, like gymnasts and stuff like that, right? If you have something like this, make sure you consult with professionals on how to take care of your body, especially if this is the line of work that you want to do for the rest of your life. How can you preserve your capabilities as long as you can so that you can have a very safe career? If you're not seeing the seriousness of this, think of it this way. If you're a singer, reaching those high notes, you can easily do, but your way of technique is straining here. Like for example, Ariana Grande. Sometimes the way she's done her high notes has been very well judged by professionals, just because the way she's executing them isn't technically the right way. And people have said that if she keeps doing the way she's belting, she's not gonna have a career in 5 years, because she might end up having to go under surgery. If she hasn't already, it could really damage her throat and her vocals. If you must do moves like that would hurt you in the long run, do not do it during rehearsals or blocking or staging, all of that. Reserve it for the actual performance if you have to, unless it's the actual show. I feel like if you're not doing it that many times like an idol or like a Broadway artist who's doing it 8 times a week, it might be okay if it's like 1 or 2 performances. If you know your capabilities, and to a certain extent, it's fine. Look for professionals who can help you with that. Do not do those moves until showtime. This is a very interesting video. I hope that we pay attention. Well, thank you guys for watching today. I hope that you enjoyed it, and if you did, do like and subscribe. And if you do subscribe, make sure you tick that notification bell so you don't miss any content from me. And if you'd like to get to know more about me, do check out my Instagram and Twitter down below.